Hello, my viewers. You are welcome to this lesson. I am Busas, the author of this channel, and in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use a completing the square method to solve the general quadratic equation. Now, given the general quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, how do we solve this type of equation? Well, in this lesson, we're going to use completing the square method. And the completing the square method has a specific format that you must follow in order to solve this equation. The first step is to transfer this constant across equality sign to your right. And when you do that, you have minus c. That is, if this plus c crosses the equality sign and comes to the right, it becomes minus c, as you can see here. The next step is to reduce the coefficient of this square variable x squared to 1. And to do that, you divide each term by a. So if you divide ax squared by a, you have x squared. Divide bx by a, you have bx over a. Divide minus c by a, you have minus c all over a. Now, having gotten to this step, the next one is the main thing. The reason why it is called completing the square method. And what do? You complete the squares on both sides. And to do that, you take half the coefficient of x, square it, and then add it to both sides. The coefficient of x here is b over a. Half of it will be b over 2a. And when you square it, you have this term. So you adding this term to both sides of the equation, that is to the left and right. So if you add it to this side, you are having x squared plus bx over a plus b over 2a all squared equals to, if you open this bracket, you have b squared over 4a squared, because this square is affecting the entire content. Then this minus c over a is still this term. So what do you do next? Now, having gotten to that level, what you do is to write this term in its short form. And to do that, you pick this x. The sign of the coefficient of x will follow, and the sign here is addition. And then you bring this one, b over 2a, then square everything. Then equals to, this is a fraction. This fraction, you find the LCM because it is separated by a subtraction sign. So the LCM here is 4a squared. 4a squared divided by 4a squared, you have 1. 1 times b squared, you have b squared. 4a squared divided by a, you have 4a times minus a, you have minus 4ac. So that's how you move from this step to this. Now, having gotten to this step, what will you do next? To remove this square, you take the square root of both sides. So when you take the square root of both sides, you are having this term. You will have square root of x plus b over a squared, and then square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now, whenever you take the square root of a number, you introduce the plus or minus sign. Now, this s plus b over 2a, the square will cancel the square root. So the square root will no longer appear. Then this denominator is a perfect square. Its square root is 2a. Then the numerator is not a perfect square. This is not a perfect square, so the square root will still remain. That's why you are having the square root here. So having taken the square root of your right hand side, you add this addition or subtraction sign to it. Then to get s, you transfer this term across equality sign to your right. And when you do that, this addition will change to subtraction, as you can see here. This addition sign will change to subtraction. Then this, your sign, plus or minus, will still remain here. Then you bring this term down. Again, this is fraction. You combine the two of them. The LCM of the denominator here, as you can see, is 2a. 2a divided by 2a, you have 1, times minus b, you have minus b. This is your plus or minus sign, you bring it down. 2a divided by 2a, you have 1 times this numerator, you have this. So at the end of the day, you're having s now will be equals to minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is the technique, this is the procedure you follow when you are using completing the square method to solve the general quadratic. I would suggest that you buy a short note for this lesson. Try and write out what you have seen and what you've heard, and then come over it, review it over and over again so that you get used to it. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in my next lesson.